Hello Team Zug, and today we'll be doing a very interesting video. So, here it is. Now, before we get started, I need to tell you guys something. I'm a huge fan of Postman Pat. There, I said it. Now, I don't really talk about Postman Pat that much on YouTube, simply because I just didn't have the time to actually dive deep on how good the show is. Mainly season 1 and 2. Seasons 3 and 5 are really good as well, but not as good as season 1, especially season 2. Special delivery service is and the movie is actually alright, but nothing really special to say about it, really. However, there's something interesting about Postman Pat. You see, there was when they brought the show back in 2003, I think, for season 3, they got rid of a few characters. Those characters being Miss Hubbard, Granny Dryden, George Lancaster, Peter Fogg, Sam, Warden, and Major Fox have disappeared with no explanation. And when Special Delivery Service came, they got rid of Julia, Potage, her 2 children, Katie and Tom, and Mr. Jeff Pringle himself. All 10 of these characters have one thing in common. They all just disappeared without a trace. And today we'll be discussing what happened to them. So let's go. But before I get started, I need to address one thing. George Lancaster, Major Fox, and Miss Hubbard did appear in the Postman Pat movie, but they were the only returning characters, and I'll get to that in a bit. So we're still including them in this list because they didn't really do that much, so let's go. Alright, so we'll start off with the easiest one from the bunch, Granny Dryden. Now, Granny Dryden is the deaf old lady in Greendale who was pretty much the older living person in Greendale, I believe. She's quite an interesting character and quite hilarious too. She does play a few minor but important roles in the series, especially in Postman Pat and the Tuber. However, she was one of those characters from season from what season 1 and season 2 that was disappeared when season 3 came out. Now, there have been many theories about this, and honestly, she's the character with the most explanation. Now, it says here that she might have passed away in Greendale, which could be a good theory because death wasn't talked about in the show, but it was quite mentioned and detailed. So yeah. However, while it works in a theory timeline theory, it doesn't work in a storytelling way. And also, there's something that's also contradicting it. Like, for example, what about Reverend Timms or Mrs. Goggins? They're old people, but they're still in the show. So if Granny Dryden did pass away, they would have passed away sometime after. So that is a contradictory. So that theory has been not debunked, but not really confirmed either. However, here's my theory. Now, it says that she had a daughter and a son-in-law, so maybe she had grandchildren? Who knows? Now, I do like the idea that she did pass away, but not in Greendale. This is my take. Granny Dryden was diagnosed with a sickness, so she goes to spend time with her daughter, son-in-law, and maybe grandchildren to spend her final days at their place. To spend time with her family. So that's my theory on Granny Dryden. But yet again, there's still a slight chance Granny Dryden could still be alive, but who knows? Alright, moving on. Peter Foggs. Now, Peter Foggs is a motorbike driver who drives around the village in his motorbike and sometimes crashing it every now and again. Like Granny Dryden before him, he didn't appear in season 3. Well, kind of, because technically, Peter made a cameo appearance in a season 3 episode when they go to the movies, but we could just assume it's just they had to use the prop for that scene, but who knows. So here's my theory on what happened to Peter. Peter just simply decided to move out of Greendale to, follow his dreams of becoming a motorbike driver, maybe around the UK. Who knows? I mean, it's a good theory. So that is just my theory on Peter. He just moved away to follow his dreams. Alright, next character. George Lancaster. Now, George is one of the characters on this list that technically returned. But he didn't really do that much. He didn't even have I don't think he even had a speaking role. So, George, here's my theory. George is a farmer, right? So maybe he decides to move to a different town or different village, to spread his empire around. So I think that could actually work. Like, George could be like I believe farmers are like business, I believe. So maybe that could work for George. I mean, it would give him a little bit more money. So, yeah, if you want to be rich, go wild, my friend. But now we need to talk about why he returned to Greendale in the Postman Pat movie. Simply put, maybe he decides to go back to Greendale, just to finish what he started in there. Maybe he helps Alf because he drives his tractor. That's a nice thought. So that's 3 characters down. Now we need to do the last 7. Let's go. Major Fox. Now, personally, Major Fox is my favourite character from the 6 that didn't return for season 3, along with Miss Hubbard. And I'm glad he did return in the movie. But anyways, Major Fox is a rich man, I believe. I believe he was in the war. Which war that he was in is beyond me. But maybe he was in World War II? Who knows? So Major Fox is also had a hot air balloon, so he likes to travel a lot. And here's my theory. We see in the Postman Pat movie he has a lot of books. And he does collect about 10 toys in the original series. So maybe he decides to become a writer and write all about his adventures in the Great War. And maybe he becomes rich and he moves from place to place in the UK, to have popularity, things like that. And so that's why he hasn't appeared since. But his cameo in the movie, he's like, I'm tired of popularity, the paparazzi. I'm just going to return home and relax there. So that's just my theory on the Major. Pretty likely, I mean, maybe he also likes to travel a lot, so maybe he uses hot air balloon more often. Who knows? Okay, now we get to the ones with the bigger questions. Sam Warden. Now, Sam runs a mobile shop. Basically, his van is a shop, sell products around Greendale. Now, the reason why he wasn't brought back for season 3 is, well, not because they didn't have any room for him, because of one thing. You know what that one thing is? He has a toothbrush mustache, and he looks a little bit like Adolf Hitler. So basically, like, Sam is a character who could only work in the 80s and 90s, but I believe when the people at BBC found out about this character, they're like, yeah, just do not bring him back. Unless you redesign him, he is gone, just get rid of him. Which, fun fact, fellow YouTuber Bumper Films Coach 2006 made a few edits on how he thinks Sam Warden would have looked like if he returned. One with a different mustache, and one without the mustache entirely. And I'm going to be honest, it's actually a good idea how they would have brought him back, but he just looks cursed without the toothbrush mustache, in my opinion. Another character who suffers from the Hitler look-like is Dor from Camp Camp, which his first design, he was depicted as Hitler as a little boy, But when they brought him his redesign in 2023, they completely redesigned him. So he and Sam are on the same boat. Now, so here's my theory on what happened to Sam. Sam runs a business, so similar to George, maybe he decides to, spread his empire around other villages in the UK, which I think that could happen. And fun fact, they literally made a new character called Michael who literally does what Sam used to do in the series. So if you want to call Michael a replacement for Sam, even though he appeared in season 6, let me know. And to finish off the characters who didn't appear in season 3 and the characters who did appear in the movies, we've got Miss Hubbard. Now, Miss Hubbard is the other character who's one of my favorites that didn't return. Now, she's like a really prominent character. I'm surprised they didn't bring her back. But I was thankful that they did manage to bring her back, even though she looks completely different. So here's my headcanon on why she looks different. Miss Hubbard could have easily had a really bad accident, which caused her to be put in a coma, and maybe plastic surgery, maybe? I mean, that could work. I mean, I'm literally taking this from Penguin's redesign from the new Batman Adventures, so make that what you will. So yeah, not the best headcanon for Miss Hubbard, but it makes sense why she was absent, and when she woke up and got a new face and a new hairstyle, she returns to Greendale like nothing has ever happened. So that's just my headcanon for what happened to Miss Hubbard. And now we're on to the characters who disappeared after season 5. The Potage Family, Julia and her 2 children, Tom and Katie. So you might be wondering, so what happened to them? Well, they were prominent characters in seasons 1 to 5, but when Special Delivery Service came, they just disappeared. What happened to them? My answer is no idea. Or do I? But before I tell you what could have happened to them, it's worth noting that Julie Potage was mentioned. However, I can't remember if that's true or not. So take that what you will. So Miss Julia is kind of confirmed not to be born in Greendale, and she's from a different place in the UK, maybe Brighton. That's just my headcanon. And she actually is married, but we never see the dad. And we must know the dad must be blonde, because if the dad isn't blonde, then Tom and Kay must be adopted. But anyways, my headcanon is that Julia's husband and Tom and Kay's father moved from Greendale to another city, and he's just supplying the family in the farm until Julie decides to pack up her 2 children to move with her husband at their new town. So that's why Tom and Kay do not go to the school anymore, and they haven't been seen ever since. It's just a theory I have. I mean, it could be. I mean, it's the closest thing we got. And now we get to the final character. The character that I am surprised they got rid of. The character who should not even been given the boot in the first place. Jeff Pringle. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so Jeff Pringle is the teacher, was the teacher in the school. And he was a really prominent character from seasons 1 to 5. But when Special Delivery Service came, they decided they replaced him with Lauren Taylor, who is the wife of Ben Taylor, one of the new major characters in Special Delivery Service, and the mother to Lizzie Taylor, in fact. So she became the new teacher, and ever since then, Jeff just disappeared with no trace. Now you might be wondering, oh, maybe Jeff decides to move away somewhere. Well, that could be the answer, except for one thing. Why is Charlie still in the series? Oh yeah, you guys don't know this, do you? Jeff is literally Charlie's dad. Charlie is literally Jeff's son. Sorry, so Jeff is Charlie's father, and Charlie is Jeff's son. So why did they get rid of his dad, but they kept his son? That doesn't make any sense. Oh no. Oh dear. So realistically, they would have had to get rid of both these characters, but because Charlie is a fan favorite, they decide, we'll just keep the son. We're not gonna keep the dad though. Now, I don't really hate Lauren. I mean, she's an alright character, but she's not as good as Mr. Pringle. So why did they got rid of him? I'll never know. But my theory is that there were not enough major female characters, so that's why they did what they did. Poor Jeff. They give him the boot. So where do I think what happened to Jeff? Well, my theory is that Jeff might have been promoted, and so he goes to the high school in Lancaster. So he has to get up, like, let's say, 6 o'clock in the morning and tells Charlie, like, just go to school, please, and gets the Greendale rocket all the way to Lancaster, have to run to the big building just to teach and then come all the way back. Actually, that's actually stressful now I think about it. Man, poor Jeff. I hope he's getting paid well. And that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. We have discussed about what happened to 10 Postman Pat characters who disappeared in one big video. Man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I sure have. If you liked this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and let me know if you want me to do more Postman Pat videos. And I have one thing to say. Hashtag justice for George, Granny Dryden, Miss Hubbard, Jeff Pringle, the twins mother, Major Fox, Sam, and Peter. Justice for all of them. If Postman Pat ever get a reboot, all 10 of these characters should return. No question. Hashtag justice for the forgotten characters of Postman Pat. That's all today, folks. Goodbye, and thank you for watching. Oh yeah, did you know that Miss Hubbard's real name is Rebecca Hubbard? I didn't even know that until I do some research. That's really interesting.